The USA has been losing so many allies, and lately they are on the verge of losing ties with one of their biggest allies, Australia. How and why, you may ask? The answer is simple. China. China and Australia are working to fix relations between the two nations after so many years of no cooperation. But would they be able to do that without the involvement of the United States? Even though the two nations are ready to mend things by forgetting the past and looking towards the future, the US would not want this to happen, as Australia is its very close ally. If it happens that China and Australia form a smooth union, it would mean that the US would lose the influence it had over Australia. To stop China from getting too close to its ally, the US has been using insane techniques. But would the US succeed? Would they be able to stop this newly formed cooperation between China and Australia? Let us find out. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is embarking on a significant visit to Shanghai, China, aimed at revitalizing high-level discussions between the two countries. Over the past 7 years, communication between Australia and China has been limited by a range of challenges and disagreements. The upcoming talks represent an important opportunity for both nations to engage in constructive dialogue and find common ground on issues of mutual interest. The bilateral relationship between Australia and China faced challenges due to the imposition of economic sanctions on Australian goods by China, which had an impact on Australia's economy and posed difficulties for collaboration between the two nations. These sanctions were a response to Australia's request for an investigation into the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, which China expressed concerns about. It's important to note that Australia made this request based on US demands. Additionally, both countries had concerns about allegations of foreign interference, which were raised by each other. This issue further strained their relationship and complicated their ability to cooperate on important global matters. The bilateral relationship between Australia and China has seen positive developments in recent times, which have contributed to its improvement, as evidenced by Prime Minister Albanese's upcoming visit to China. Both nations have demonstrated a willingness to enhance their relationship through diplomatic channels, engaging in constructive talks to find common ground and resolve their differences. Australia and China have been collaborating on trade agreements that are mutually beneficial, which could lead to a surge in economic ties and create new trade opportunities. Additionally, there has been an increase in cultural and educational exchange programs, which fosters better understanding and trust among the people of both countries. Working together to combat climate change is a significant step towards addressing a global issue that affects everyone, and both countries have recognized its importance. Moreover, Australia and China have expressed interest in cooperating on regional security and stability, which is critical for the Asia-Pacific region. These positive developments demonstrate a shared commitment to building a stronger relationship based on mutual respect, trust, and cooperation. China's decision to release Australian journalist Cheng Lei, who had been detained for over 3 years on national security charges, is a significant announcement that marks a positive development in the strained relationship between China and Australia. China's intention to review tariffs on Australian exports further signals its interest in improving its relationship with Australia. In response, Australia has taken steps to enhance its ties with China, such as suspending actions at the World Trade Organization and approving a Chinese lease of a critical port in Darwin. Cheng Lei's release is a welcome development and is seen as a positive sign of improved relations between the two countries. Chinese officials have expressed their desire to strengthen their relationship with Australia, aiming to add more substance to it. For Australia, the current situation signifies the culmination of a long-standing and stable connection. It also marks the 50th anniversary of former Australian Prime Minister G. Whitlam's historic visit to Beijing, which laid the foundation for diplomatic ties founded on mutual benefits. The recent visit marks a significant moment in the history of Australia-China relations, celebrating a milestone that not only recognizes the past, but also sets the stage for the future. Over the past 50 years, the relationship between the two countries has undergone significant changes, evolving into what it is today. If you are still watching this video, it means you find it interesting. Why not take out a second to hit that like button? Australia has benefited greatly from the economic transformation and rapid development of China, with a significant demand for Australian exports such as iron ore, coal, and gas. This demand has fueled decades of uninterrupted economic growth in Australia, resulting in unprecedented levels of prosperity and stability. The strong economic ties between these two nations have fostered mutual interdependence, with China relying on Australia for crucial raw materials to support its booming industries, and Australia depending on Chinese demand to fuel its economic growth. As a result, both countries have a mutually beneficial relationship where both nations profit from each other's wins. Australia and China have had a strong relationship over the past 5 decades, marked by significant cross-cultural exchanges. Australia's diverse population, including a significant number of individuals with Chinese ancestry, has fostered mutual appreciation of each other's cultures, traditions, and values. These exchanges have strengthened the bilateral relationship, creating opportunities for cultural exchange and people-to-people connections. These positive developments reflect the shared commitment of both nations to promoting mutual understanding and cooperation, which are essential in today's interconnected world. These recent developments in the China-Australia relationship have raised concerns in the United States. The visit of Anthony Albanese, the leader of the Australian Labor Party, to China and his meeting with President Xi Jinping have been closely monitored by the US. The US is keen to see if Australia is becoming more open to working with China, and is watching the discussions between Albanese and Xi Jinping closely. One of the primary goals of the visit is to promote dialogue and mutual understanding between China and Australia. This is crucial, especially considering the two countries' powerful military capabilities, to avoid any misunderstandings. Dialogue plays a significant role in international relations, and when countries communicate openly, they can better comprehend each other's viewpoints and find common ground. It is particularly important when dealing with crucial matters like trade, security, and diplomatic relations. Having productive discussions can help prevent conflicts and misunderstandings that could lead to tensions in the economy or even military invasions. This bothers the US so much. Why is that? The US has a keen interest in how the Australia-China relationship progresses since it is a close ally of Australia. It wants to ensure that its allies, like Australia, do not align themselves with China, as that could lead to the erosion of their ties with the US. The US does not want China to dominate countries under its influence. Although both China and Australia have shared economic interests, the US argues that Australia's foreign policy is heavily influenced by the US, which makes it challenging for Australia to expand its relations with China. In addition to economic ties, China has also taken notice of the growing military cooperation between the US and Australia. The two nations have a long-standing history of collaboration in defense and have recently taken steps to strengthen their partnership in this area, which has caused concern in Beijing. The US claims that while Australia continues to maintain economic relations with China, it is increasingly aligning its foreign policy with that of the US. This military union between the US and Australia has been proven several times. As it has been noticed, Australia participates in joint military exercises with the USA, and they also support the US in regional security issues. It's worth noting that Australia is growing increasingly tired of the US and wishes to stop US interference in its affairs. Australia's economic relationship with China is crucial, as China is one of Australia's biggest trading partners. Both countries share strong economic ties, which have benefited each other in various ways. The US has caused many misunderstandings between China and Australia, which is why it's crucial to prevent any miscommunications or misinterpretations of intentions. Tensions can escalate quickly and lead to conflicts, especially given the significant military capabilities of both countries. What do you think of Anthony Albanese's visit to China? Do you think the US would intervene and stop this relationship? Let us know what you think in the comment section. If you loved this video, like and subscribe.